Hey gamers, Gecko here. If you remember back about 2 months ago, I made a video about Arc System Works' biggest problem. About the thing that they really needed to do better above everything else. Spoiler alert for a 2-month-old video on a channel that does daily uploads, but that thing was communication. Arc System Works has had a history of being very bad at communicating with its fanbase. In the olden times for Guilty Gears, players would complain about problems with the games, and then Arcsys would say, "We hear you," and they would buff the complaints. Xrd was filled with characters that were doing extremely strong things, and they would buff those characters because they thought it was funny, I guess. This happened for the longest times until around Guilty Gear Strive, where seemingly Arcsys began talking to us a little bit more. Thus, we have entered what I like to call the new age of Arc System Works, one where different people are designing and heading the games, and they're talking at least a little bit to us. Unfortunately though, old habits die hard, and if you remember around the start of the year, Arc System Works had a very long streak of not saying shit to us. There was also a lot of problems with things like the creator program not being explained to us properly, which affected me very heavily, and a bunch of other smaller things that Arcsys failed to address. I made that video about 2 months ago, and didn't really expect anything to happen. I said it, I expected it to be a way for me to release some stress out into the world, let the people know my problems behind the scenes, and then things would go on as normal. However, it seems that there's been a strange shift in Arc System Works as of late. That video was at the end of May, specifically around May 20th. Let's quickly recap the past 2 months of events relating to Arc System Works and Guilty Gear Strive. To begin with, Unica released, and the Guilty Gear Strive Dual Rulers anime wrapped up. After that, a couple of weeks later, Marvel Tokon was announced at the PlayStation State of Play. Arcsys then announced that they were doing an Arcsys showcase with a direct type thing for their audience, though they were very vague about what they were talking about. We'll get onto the Arcsys showcase later, don't worry. Then, at Anime Expo, the Lucy panel happened, with representatives from Arc System Works and CD Projekt Red talking about Lucy. Not a lot was said, however, there was enough said for people to start speculating. Then, Arc System Works did an interview, saying that something big was coming to Guilty Gear Strive, and finally we get to this week, where we finally, after a full year, got another developer backyard interview. Safe to say, a lot has happened in the span of 2 months, and only one thing has been inside of Guilty Gear Strive. If you were to do nothing but play the game, you would think that news has been pretty slow waiting for Lucy. But Arcsys have been using several different avenues to try and talk to us about what is happening inside the company and with the development team. Several of it is focused around Guilty Gear, and several problems still persist. The Arcsys showcase was something that people expected to be a very interesting event for fighting game players. Arcsys very obviously knows that they are a fighting game company. They said so in the showcase. However, we didn't get any fighting game news, and a lot of people were upset because of that. Maybe it was because of that interview, maybe it was because of the lack of Lucy news going up, maybe it's because people thought that Guilty Gear was going away, but Arcsys has very obviously changed something and is communicating with us a little bit more. So, I think it's important that we go back to the statement that I made earlier. Arc System Works is bad at communicating. Is that still true? Well, while I would like to say that, no, it is completely fixed, everything's fine, we don't have to worry anymore, I think erring on the side of cautious optimism is probably for the best. At least, that's what I'm doing. If you don't know, somehow, EVO is happening in a week. At around the time that this video goes live next week, the Guilty Gear Strive Top 8 is happening at EVO Las Vegas, and we will be getting news on Lucy Cyberpunk. That's her name now. Not to be confused with Lucy Punk from Cyber. So a build-up of news towards a big event is kind of to be expected, especially because there's a lot that's going to be coming alongside Lucy. But with the previous years, we wouldn't have known that something big was coming alongside Lucy. If you don't know, every other EVO that's happened, we haven't known the character that's going to be announced, which is kind of fair because it normally kicks off a new season. This one's a little bit weird because Lucy is the end of the current season, which was announced at last EVO, so it's all a bit funky. But we wouldn't have known when we were getting a balance patch, or even when we were going to be hearing about ranked. In fact, we didn't have any ranked news for ages, and then suddenly, out of the blue, they dropped things about the ranked matchmaking in the developer backyard, which they could have very easily left till after the event. Arcsys is moving in ways which, yes, they're obviously moving because a big event is happening, but ways that seem like they're trying to reach out to us more with smaller bits of information. The article that they wrote really didn't tell us a lot, only to expect that something big is coming. The Lucy panel didn't tell us a lot, but it gave us a small insight into the relationship between the companies, as well as a couple of other aspects about Arc System Works. Hell, they did a fucking Q&A. They couldn't answer most of it, but they did it. It's all really good news. And if it was just the hype cycle for when EVO was about to start, I feel like it wouldn't be this esoteric and weird. They would just show us at EVO and it would be done. So maybe there has been a shift in the company. Maybe they are working to talk to us more. And if they are, I really appreciate it. But again, cautious optimism. There is always the chance that after EVO we get the big patch, Lucy's reveal, Lucy put in the game, ranked mode, and then we don't hear anything for a couple of months. In fact, I genuinely expect even with Arcsys communicating with us, we probably wouldn't hear something for a couple of weeks, maybe even a month, just because a big update had happened. What would they really talk about when something big just came out, you know? But the hope is, after this comes out, Arcsys still tries to talk to us in ways that make sense. When a character's about to be released, maybe they do a couple of blogs saying, hey, you should look forward to this event for reasons. Or maybe they have interviews with the developers talking about processes behind things. The fact that we got the developer backyard again was really nice and cool. It's always a great insight into how the characters are designed and made, as well as a refresher on the lore of what the characters do. Yes, it turns out we didn't learn the lore from the backyard. I just haven't read the GG World section on any of the characters and can't pronounce shit. Villatia? I have no fucking idea how to say it. I'm dyslexic. However, the hope is now that Arcsys has seen the benefit of communicating with its audience. I'm a decently positive guy. I like to try and keep things on the lighter side, and doing this daily content has definitely helped me with that. But it's been a long time since I've seen the Guilty Gear community this excited about something. The fact that Arcsys is willing to talk to us, willing to give us little bits of information to play with and enjoy, and willing to throw us a bone every once in a while has made the Guilty Gear community seem nicer, happier. Hell, my portion of it at least seems like they're having a better time. It's been fun reading through the articles, listening to the developers' Q&As, just existing in the community and hearing things. And it's a great change that I really do hope that they keep doing. 2 months is a good start. These past 2 months have been the best communication that Arcsys has done basically since the launch of Strive. And I really hope they keep it up. I'm not willing to forgive their past crimes just yet. If they have to delay another character by like 6 months, I want a better reason than we just need to make it. You don't know when Venom was put in the game, they delayed him for quite a bit, and the reason that they gave was because they wanted to make sure that he was polished. With the power of hindsight, it's pretty obvious that Arcsys was having a reshuffle, and a couple of developers probably went to work on Marvel Tokon, as well as maybe there being big internal changes in the Guilty Gear team. But at the time, it was just, we need to make sure he's finished. But the hope is, if something like that happens again, or if something changes within the team, or something ends up slowing down, Arcsys will let us know. Hell, even if nothing does end up slowing down and they're making changes, I hope that we hear about them a little bit before they happen. In the developer backyard, they had a section about what they were focusing on balance, and generally, it seems that the reception has been positive, if a little bit worried, but anime fans have been burned in the past. It's okay to be worried about balance changes. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm not 100% willing to let them off the hook yet. We'll have to see how they function after EVO before I say that Arcsys has really gotten better at communicating with us. And let's be real, the Arcsys showcase was a little bit of a shit show, but hopefully they've learned from that and they are willing to talk to us more and change a couple of things around so that we hear from them more often. Because let's be real, having the company tell us what they're thinking and what they're working on is a lot better than a year of silence and then balance changes that nobody wanted. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Sorry that it's a bit slower and more condensed today. It's been a hell of a weekend. I don't know if you can hear it. I feel like I'm coming down with something. EVO's happening in a week. If you want to make sure that you're there when all the announcements happen, go down to the Twitch. Make sure to follow, subscribe to this channel as well, because we are going to be reacting to the announcements as they happen. I am currently working on breaking my sleep schedule in half because Americans just have terrible timing. You know that EVO finishes at 6 o'clock in the morning for me. On Monday morning. It's gonna be fucked. But I am looking forward to it. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.